and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and a new puzzle by the constructor Apiyo today. And Apiyo is one of this new breed of constructors that we've seen on Cracking the Cryptic over the last few months, and I have absolutely loved every one of his puzzles that we've tried. They are incredibly clever, and this one is unusual because I have read the rules before I just started the webcam running, and it doesn't seem to me like there's enough information to finish the puzzle, but I'm sure there is. But we'll have to see how this works. Anyway, I'll read out the rules in a second. It's called, the puzzle by the way, it's called Night Fever, which means I should have done it on Saturday. Now, before we get started with the rules, I want to mention a couple of things. Firstly, if you haven't tried it yet, do have a look over on Patreon at the Groundhog Day Sudokus that we published at the start of February. They are going down at bomb, and I think we've had literally over 300 correct entries so far, which tells you a lot of people have devoted some time to them and lots of people have enjoyed them. So that is absolutely splendid, and a big thanks to Sed Holleyson for constructing the puzzles. Now, we're going to keep the love going. It's nearly Valentine's Day, not far away now. And on Valentine's Day, as a big thank you to all of you and to show you how much we love you, we are going to release an extra Sudoku, challenge I suppose is the best word, by Scott Strosahl no less. And that will come out, as I say, on the 14th of February. And we're going to have an unusual prize for that. Mark and I are busy at the moment working on a new full Sudoku hunt for March's Patreon reward. And the winner, or the first correct solution we receive to Scott's puzzle on the 14th of February, will have the opportunity, if they want to, of test solving that Sudoku hunt. So you'll be the very first person to see it and obviously tell us whether it's any good. So that's just a little incentive. Obviously, if you don't want to test it, there's no obligation at all. But we thought that might be a sort of interesting prize. So as I say, that's not far away now, only a few days to wait. Now, Apiyo's new puzzle. Let me read you the rules. We're back to normal Sudoku rules today after yesterday's excursion into Snake World. And all of the sort of variant rules are normal in this puzzle. We've got normal thermometers, normal arrows, normal little killer clues. But one thing we like to do on Cracking the Cryptic is to make it a very welcoming place for any new viewers who may not be as familiar with these variants as some of us are. So that's why we always go through the rules. That's why you'll always hear me say the numbers from 1 to 9 add up to 45. I'm sorry, but we have to recognise that everybody's new once, and not everybody will know these things off by heart. So the rules for this puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a knight's move in chess cannot contain the same digit. So what does that mean? That means if that square was a 1, if this was a chess knight, it could jump to these cells. So none of these yellow cells is allowed to contain the digit 1. So obviously you can see they're a knight's move apart. That breaks the rules of the puzzle. The digits on the arrow path must add to the digit in the circled cell. So you can see we've got an arrow here. I've done the arrows in purple today to make them distinct from the thermometers. So those two squares, if they were a 3 and a 4, these would add up to, not 8, 7, that was a misclick. So basically whatever's on the arrows, let's say this was a 2 and a 5, that would make that a 7 as well. So very simple rules for the arrows. Digits along thermometers must increase from the bulb end. So there's a thermometer here. Let's imagine that square was a 4. This cell would have to be higher than 4. It doesn't have to be 5 though, it could be 7. Then this square has to be higher than 7. So this would be a perfectly valid way for this thermometer to increase. And then the thermometer, you can see, also comes down in this direction. So this cell has to be higher than 4. And then this square has to be higher than 6, etc. So very simple. Then finally, a clue outside the grid indicates the sum of the digits along its diagonal. So we've only got 2 little killer clues today. This one, those 2 squares add to 6. This one, those 2 squares add up to 14. Do have a go at this. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. And by the way, the reason I was struck by the lack of information in this puzzle, or the seeming lack of information, is that normally with an arrow or a thermometer puzzle, you get at least one arrow that is, say, 3 cells long, or one thermometer that allows a meaningful restriction. Here, we've got this thermometer, which looks great at first blush, but actually it's only a 3-cell thermometer in each direction. This is a 3-cell thermometer. That's the longest thermometer we get. It's a 4-cell thermometer. These stubby little efforts down here are absolutely, these are what I call disambiguating thermometers. Basically, they're just inequality signs. All it's telling us is that cell is greater than that one. It's basically useless. You know, the arrow clues, a 3-cell arrow, at least we could write 6, 7, 8, 9 into one of the circles. Here, this could be as low as 3. So that's hardly any restriction on that cell. It's really incredible that this, I mean, the Knight's Move constraint is powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit surprising. Anyway, all that said, I've made no progress. This cell is the cell that looks to me to be the weakest in the puzzle, because at least this has 2, you know, it's between a rock and a hard place in a sense that the thermometer is driving this cell downwards. So whatever we put here, we know in these 3 cells, we know this has to be lower than that. But whatever we put on the arrow is forcing this cell higher. The higher these digits are, the higher this is. So yeah, it's not brilliant though. I mean, these 2 squares could be as low as a 1 and a 2 pair, which would mean, so this square has a minimum value of 3. But on the other hand, it can't be greater than 6. How do we know it can't be greater than 6? If we try 7 in here, 8, 9, this square would be a 10. That is not going to work. So this is 3, 4, or 5. Oopsie. Now, what you won't find me doing here is put 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not going to pencil mark this thermometer. I refuse to do anything that makes me more like Mark Goodliffe. And I think you'll all agree that's very sensible. But Knight's Move in there. So let's just check. Knight's Move. So whatever goes in this cell can't go in those 5 cells. So it's in one of those 4 cells, which is absolutely useless. Okay. How do we do this? See, this one is not useful. It looks like it might be because it's the overlapping of a thermometer and an arrow clue, but both of the pressures on it are going in the same direction. They're pushing the cell upwards. It's at the end of its thermometer, so we know from the thermometer perspective it has to be a big digit. And it's the sum of all these, well, sum of those 2 and the sum of those 2. So its arrow totals are pushing it upwards as well. So basically, this cell is probably a high digit. Although if it is a very high digit, it wouldn't have much option as to where it goes. Yeah, that's interesting. If that's like a 7, 8 or a 9, where would it go in box 5 of the grid? It couldn't go on its own arrow, because if we had 7 in there, for example, if we try and put 7 in there, we can't put it in here because I can't put 7 and 0 in. That's not going to work. So if this is 7, it can't go here, look, because this is too low. It can't go there by sudoku, so it would actually be forced into that cell. So if this is high, that is where it goes. But again, that's not really, that's just noticing something that's probably irrelevant. Let's imagine this was lower. Is there a Knight's Move? So it, yeah, okay, because of the Knight's Move constraint, it's always pushed into one of these 3 cells. This is not going very well. Let's try this one. So this one is telling us this can't be higher than 7, but it could be 7, I think, because if it's 7, you could go 8, 9, 8, 9 like that. Is that ruling? No, the 8s still work in box 1 from a Knight's Move perspective. Does the 9? The 9. That would force a 9 here. Anyway, it's only eliminating a 7, even if it I mean, it's nothing. Knight's move from here is ruling out those squares. Sorry. Right, okay. At least I've spotted something. This square, apologies to those of you who've been shouting at me. If you've looked at this first, you will have spotted something. I didn't. Right. This cell, in fact, the shape of this thermometer is very clever indeed. Why? Well, let's think about where this cell goes, both in box 2 and box 4. So whatever is in this cell, by Sudoku can't go there. You can't repeat it on its own thermometer because whatever goes in these cells has by definition to be higher than this. And whatever goes in here can't be in those cells by Knight's move restraints. So in fact, all 7 of those cells are removed. And whatever goes in there goes in that domino. Which means I can colour it in. I never refuse an opportunity to colour things in. So we've got some colours. Now, does that mean anything? So, it's not actually immediately apparent to me what that does mean. It's very clever, and I'm pretty certain it's deliberate. Because it feels so well structured. The way this thermometer works is beautiful. Let's just try down here as well. It must work the same way by symmetry. So these 3 squares can't be purple. Those are on the thermometer, can't be purple. These are Knight's moves away, can't be purple. So purple does go into, this domino here. Right, okay. So that's on the thermometer. Right, okay, that is interesting because that means this cell, whatever goes in here, look, that cell has to be higher than this. So you get 1, you increase 1. Let me be a bit more articulate. If this is a 3, this square has to be at least 4. So this square has to be at least 5. So this square also has to be at least 5. We don't know whether this is mapping yet to this one or this one, but whichever one it's mapping to, we know it has to be at least 5 because this one has to be at least 3. So that is at least 5, and that is at least a restriction. And it can't be greater than 7 because we can't put 9, 10 on the thermometer. So this square is... yeah, this is really interesting. Now, whatever this square is gets mapped into the domino here, which is on a thermometer. So this square is higher than this square. So there is a weird thermometer that is not drawn in the diagram, but exists in a triangle in this puzzle. This square has to be at least 2 less than whatever you put in here, which has to be at least 1 less than whatever you put in here. So there is a sort of thermometer going boop, 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 like that. And that boop, booping is... oh no, hang on. I was thinking about whether this could be high. Now this is high. So if that's 6, I could put 6 here. Okay. No, I can't. No, hang on. That's nonsense for what I just said. You can't... whatever, because this is a virtual thermometer, whatever this is at least 3 higher than whatever I put in there. So whatever this is has to go in here. That is really beautiful. Whatever is in that square, because it can't go there, it can't go on its own arrow, and has to be at least 3 greater than that square, has to go in there. So these 2 squares are the same, which I will colour. Yes, I will. And then that square can't be green because of the Knight's move constraint. So one of those 2 squares is green. Okay, so green is not 9. That's what we've got from this, because you can't put 9 in the bulb of a thermometer. So those are not 9s. Oh, does that limit this one again? So if this is not 9... Hang on, I'm getting a bit confused now. So if this is 7 now, this would be 8, 9. I'd have to put... No, that doesn't work. Got something. This cannot be 7. Why can't it be 7? Well, if it's 7, we know this would be 8, 9. But we also know we'd have to put 7 in purple. So this square would have to be 8 or 9 as well. But that's impossible, because that would mean there were 3 squares in the box that have to be 8s and 9s. So this is not 7, and we have a restriction. So if this is not 7... Oh, this can't be 6. Sorry. Right, I need to keep thinking about the logic of this, because whatever's in here has to be 2 higher than whatever goes in here. So this can't be 6 or 5. Because if it's even 5 now, you'd have to go 6, 7, and this can't be 7. So this is 3 or 4, I think. This is 5 or 6. Is that enough? Can we... Can we deduce from that something really handy or not? I feel like I'm right on the cusp of understanding this. So hang on, this is 3 or 4, so there's always a 1 in here. Oh, there you go. Hang on, if that's 3, this gets too high. This is never 3. That's the key. This is never 3. If this is 3, you have to put 1, 2 here on this arrow. What do you put in these 2 squares? Minimum 4 and 5, which means this would have to be capable of being 9, which it is not capable of being. So this is 4, and we have a digit of all things. And we have a pair here, that's a 1, 3 pair. And this can't be 5 anymore because it must be 2 greater than this. So that's 6. And if that's 6, and oh, this is gorgeous. This is so clever, the way this sort of goes around in a circle. Right, because not only does this not equal 6 now, but look down here. Where does this 6 go on this thermometer? Well, we know it's in the purple somewhere. If I try and put it right at the end of the thermometer, I have to fit 2 digits in here. And I can't put 4.5 and 5.5 along here. We can only use integers. So 6 has to go there. Which means this has to be 5 because there's 1 digit between 4 and 6. Now, does that... So this is not 6 anymore. Oh, we knew that wasn't 6 because it's green. So green is 7 or 8. So if 6 goes here... No, Simon. Use your brain. Right. This is 6. So these squares have to be 7s, 8s and 9s. Obviously we can't put 9 partially along a thermometer. So this becomes a 7, 8 pair. The 9 goes in the top. And now, where does the 6 go in the box? It's brilliant. Where does the 6 go in this box now? We can't put it here, because that would mean this square would have to be a 7 or an 8, and it can't be either. The 7 and the 8 have gone. So the 6 goes here, exactly. Still don't know whether this is a 7 or an 8. But we do now know there's a 6 in one of those squares. We also know, look, there's a 9 in one of those 3 squares. Oh. Okay, so there's a 9 in one of these 3. We can't put 9 in the bulb. So 9 must be here, I think. Which means the 7 and the 8 go in... I still don't know which one they go in, I don't think. In fact, that's very bad pencil marking. Don't do that. I think I'll just leave them green. Because I know that whatever goes here and goes in one of these 2, but I still don't know which one. Hang on. Right, now let's look at this arrow, because I can't put 1, 3 or 4 on it. So if I don't put 2 on it, it would have to be at least 5 and 6 on the arrow, and that would mean that would need to be an 11, which is not going to work. So 2 goes in one of those squares. Either with 5 or 6. It's not that easy to put 6 in. 6 would have to go here. Not sure. I mean, this is either 2, 5, 6, 2, 5, or it's 2, 6, but I'm not sure I know which. I know that's not 6 because of the knight's move constraint. Right, okay, so come on, let's think. So this box now, we've got, yeah, here we go. Here's more stuff. Here's some more stuff we can do. We've got a 6 here. So these squares are 7, 8, or 9, as is this one, because it's on a thermometer. So there is a 7, 8, 9 triple in this box. You can't put 9 partially along a thermometer. So there's a 9 in the domino at the end of box, or in this domino here. 9 by sudoku. You can't put 9 here because it's a knight's move away. So 9 is in this domino, which means 9 is in these cells down here. Got a funny feeling I'm missing some knight's move restriction here. Apologies if that's the case. Now, what have we got next? We've got this box still needs 1, 2, 3, and this box. Look, I've not placed 1, 2, 3, and 4 in it yet. What can this square be? By knight's move, you cannot put 1, 3, or 4 in this square. If you do, it removes 1, 3, and 4 from all of those 3 squares because of the knight's move constraint. So if this can't be 1, 3, or 4, and it can't be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's 2, which means that's 2. Still doesn't tell us what this is. Oh, no, it does. There's a 5. 5 is a knight's move away from a 5 if we put 5 here. So this is 6, which means lots of things, I think. It means 6 is in one of those 2 squares because it can't go here because of knight's moves. It means 2 plus 6 equals, here's the knowledge bomb, 8. That's an 8. That means green is 8. There's an 8 in one of those 2 squares. That means that's a 7, look. 1, 3, 4. This right, box 2. Look, we've got 1, 3, 4 triple there, which can only go into those 3 squares. Might be a way we can. I'm not sure there is a way we can narrow them down actually, because we haven't actually placed any 1, 3s, and 4s in the grid. Those 2 squares are 2 and 5 to complete the box. That, oh no, the 2 doesn't see either of them. These 2 squares at the bottom, these 2 squares, therefore, have got to be 6 and 8, I think. Oh, that's great. That's great, because this 6 sees that square. So the 6 moves right down to the bottom. That becomes an 8. Okay, well, that's died a death, I think. These squares are 1, 3, and 4. That's not 4. That means there's a 1, 3 pair in row 4, so this square is the 4. It's ridiculous. And now we've got a 1, 3 deadly pattern, which hopefully, we can't do it yet, but the only way this will get resolved is by a knight's move. There must be a 1 or a 3 somewhere that will reach in and hit this to stop the 1s and 3s being potentially switchable. Obviously, at the moment, without the knight's move constraint, you could have that pattern or this pattern, and there is no way of telling which of those is correct. So we're going to have to rely on knight's move logic to get unstuck from there. This 1, 3, 4 is not helpful because it's obviously lower than 6 in any in any case. These squares here are 5, 7 and 9 to complete the box. So that can't be 5. Ah, that can't be 8. So, whoops. So there's a 7, 9 pair now in this row, which means these are 1, 2 and 3. 5. I'm sure I just have this horrible feeling there's all sorts of Knight's Move restrictions I'm missing here. Apologies if so. 6, look, where does 6 go in this box? Let's look at that. 6 can't go here by Knight's Move or here by Sudoku, so 6 goes there. That means 6 is in one of those 3 cells. We've got... what else have we got? Can we do something? I've already looked at 9s over here, haven't I? What about 9s over there? You can't put 9 on an arrow. 8s. Oh, that is weird. Okay, where does 8 go in box 3? 8 doesn't go there by Sudoku. It doesn't go in those squares by Knight's Move. It can't be on its own arrow, and it's most certainly not on a 6 diagonal, unless you can accompany it with -2, which you can't. So 8 goes here, which is quite surprising. And again, I suspect some of you will have been looking at that square and shouting at me, but sorry, that was not easy to see. Wow, okay, so 8's now in one of... Oh, look, yeah, this is lovely. 8's in one of these 3 squares. Well, look, this square can't be an 8, therefore, because it sees all 3 of those squares. If you make that 8, you can't put 8 in any of those because of the Knight's Move. So this is now 7, which gives us a 9 and an 8. That's not 8, therefore. That 9 here gives us a 7 over here. Okay. Good. That felt like progress for a moment. Hang on, I've not looked at this arrow, which has to add up to 8 and can't involve a 6 now. It couldn't involve a 6 before, actually. So it's either 1, 7. If it's 1, 7, the 7 has to go there, the 1 has to go there. And that is not possible, and let me tell you why. There's a 7 here and a 7 here. So the 7, that's lovely. So the 7 in row 5 is in one of those positions. So if we make that 7, you can't put 7 in there. That's impossible. So we can get rid of this, and this must be 3 and 5, which is probably resolved, and I apologise if I can't see. Oh, actually, does that mean that can't be 5? Yes, it does. If this is 5, you can't put 5 in either of those squares. So that's 9, that's 5. So these squares are now known, I suppose. Keep getting that double click effect. Because we've got the 1, 3 pair there, these squares here are 4, 7 and 9, and there's a 9, 7 pair. So this is 4 because it can't be 9 or 7. This is a 7, 9 pair. These are 6, 8 and 5. 5, 6, 8. That's not 8. 5 sees that cell. 6 sees that cell. This 8 sees that square. So that's got to be a 6, which means that's a 5 and that's an 8. This 5 doesn't see this 3, 5 pair, but the 6 is now placed in box 9. 8's got to be in this domino. 7 can't go on the 6 diagonal. So 7 is in one of those 2 squares in box 3. That is lovely. That is absolutely lovely. Look at these 7s. So where does 7 now go in column 8 of the grid? it can't go in any of these squares. So we're looking at one of those three as the option. But this can't be 7, because if we put 7 there, it sees both of those squares, and that one indeed, by knight's move. So it's not there. That's option 1 ruled out. This is therefore a 7-8 pair, but... oh, in fact, I can just fill this in. That is so strange the way my brain works. My brain worked there by looking at this possibility of a 7, seeing this was 14, noting that double 7 wasn't possible, and therefore beginning to explain that. Why doesn't it just see there's a 6 there and fill in an 8 there? These are the mysteries of life. 8, 7, apologies. That's 8 therefore, because knight's move was ruled out of that one. Does that do work for us? 7 is in one of those two squares. This is 3, 5, so I've not looked at this diagonal either. This must be 2 and 4, mustn't it? There's a 4 here, so we get that. 4 and 2 go into the grid. 4 can't be here by knight's move, so it's got to be in this domino at the bottom. This can't be 2. This 2 sees that one, that's nice. 5 and 2 go in. 2 is in one of these two cells. I'm not sure if that's resolvable, probably. 4 maybe. Oh no. I thought 4 might be restricted in box 1, but the knight's move doesn't actually see any useful cells. Bobbins. Oh, 9 here is seeing this 9. Good grief, sorry. So that's a 9 down there. Does that do anything for us? Maybe. 9 now in box 9 has to be here or here, because it can't be halfway along an arrow. Nine in this box. Oh look, we've got a sort of 1, 7, 9 triple here, with this not being able to be 7 because of the 7. I don't think the 9 reaches in far enough. Oh, but we can do... yeah, we can. Look, 9s are aligned in a sort of X-wing here as well. So we can ask where 9 goes in this column. It can't go in those 3 squares because the 9's in one of those 2. It can't go in these 3 squares, the 9's in one of those 2. It can only go here. That makes this square a 9. Just seen that's an 8 as well. More missed scanning, apologies. Okay, so this means what? This now becomes a 1, 7 pair, which means that's not a 1. Row 3 is now interesting because we've got basically lots of digits. This has to be 3, 4 and 5. It sees a 4, so this is 3 or 5, which means this square's a 4. That means that's not a 4, that's not a 4. And we can do more beautiful logic. This is a 1, 3 pair, so this square can't be a 1 because it would rule 1 out entirely of box 2. That becomes a 7. This is a 1, that's a 7, this is a 9. 9 goes in the circle, not terribly surprising in box 9, but, look, we cut this arrow has to add to 9. It can't use 1, 8, 2, 7 or 3, 6. It must be 4, 5, and we actually know the order of that. That 5 fixes the 5 and the 3. This square becomes a 1. That must be a 2 or a 3. This can't be a 4. 1, 2, 3 triple to complete this box 9 shenanigans. This 3 fixes the 5 over here. 5, where does 5 go in column 2? Can't go there by sudoku. Can't go here by knight's move. Must go there. 2, 3. 2, 3. Oh, there's a trick. Right, look at that pattern there. Now, when I see this in a knight's move puzzle, I look at this square, because this square cannot be 1, 2 or 3, because it would rule those digits out of all of those 3 positions. So this can't be 1, 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. So that square is actually a naked single. It's a 4. This 4 tells us which of these squares is a 4 because it sees that one. So that's a 4. That's a 4. This is a 1, 3 pair. So this is a 2, 7 pair. And we know the order. Yes. 7, 2. 2 up here. That's a 1, 3 pair as well, actually. That's a 7, therefore. In fact, look, I've got 1, 3 pairs all over the shop. Right. A little worrying, but hopefully the knight's move will render this solvable. This 7 sees this 7. These squares here have got to be 1, 2, 3 and 5. We know the 5 goes there, therefore. So these are 1, 2 and 3. I can see this one is seeing that cell. The 2 is seeing that cell. It gives us another 1, 3. What's going on? Something must look into this pattern and disambiguate it, or I've made a big boo-boo here. The 1, 3 here means that there must be a 2 in this domino. So this is not 2. Great, it gives us another 1 and 3. Although that does give us a 1, 3 pair along here. So this is a 2. Good, another 1, 3 there. Look, this is not 2 now. So that means this is 2. This is 2. This is good grief. And this 3 is going to go through the grid like a dose of salts, isn't it? That is amazing. So that is amazing. This 3, this now can't be a 3. So it's a 1. That's a 3. That's a 3. That's a 1. This 3 sees the 3 and the 1. This 3 reaches into the deadly pattern and fixes it. Must be in that order. This 1 now reaches into this and stops that being a 1. That fixes those. The 3 and the 1 go in. We click tick. And that's how to solve a beautiful puzzle. My goodness me, that's clever. It really is. I mean, the way that this thing worked is quite lovely. I really enjoyed that, and it's typical of apiyo, actually. You know, it's just a little theme that he builds into a beautiful idea. And it gives me, anyway, a lot of pleasure. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know in the comments. I do read them. And we'll be back later, of course, with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.